Arizona State at Kansas State, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. And really, the storylines to know in this game, these are two teams that are looking to stay alive in the Big 12 championship race. And again, like we said before with Pittsburgh and Clemson, neither of them control their own destinies in the conference, but they're very much not out of it either. If Kansas State wins, they'll need to win out and Colorado to lose to pass the Buffaloes in the standings. Because like you said before, Colorado lost to Kansas State. So they would have the tiebreaker. So all they need to do is win out and Colorado to lose a game. If Arizona State wins this game, they'll need to win out. And then they'll need BYU to lose to either Kansas or Houston because if they win out, that means they will also beat BYU as well. Or if that doesn't happen, Colorado to lose 2 of their final 3 games as well. So that is the kind of scenarios for both these teams right now. But Dawn, you have the Arizona State offense. What should we be looking out for when they have the ball?
All right, so Arizona State's given us a lot of things that we didn't expect coming into the year. We didn't think they would be 7-2, and you would be laying out legitimate scenarios where they could make the Big 12 title game. But that's where we are now. And I think if we looked at their offense coming into the season, we knew Cam Scatabo was great, no question. Yeah. We knew they could run the ball. Even with Sam Leavitt coming in at quarterback, and he's a mobile guy, you figured they could run the ball. But I think the biggest concern I would have had coming into the year is, okay, what happens when they get into obvious passing situations? On third down, let's say, third and long, and Sam Leavitt has to beat you with his arm because he didn't get to start at Michigan State. He only had a handful of reps in mop-up duty and just didn't get to play all that much. Comes in here, and one of the big reasons that they've been so successful on third down, he's got an 88.8 passing grade this season. That's the 8th best in the country. 8.6 yards per attempt. I think that's a top 20 or 25 mark. 4 big-time throws, 1 turnover-worthy play. Sam Leavitt on third down, especially lately, their last couple of games, and especially I thought last week without Cam Scatabo against UCF. I'll be honest with you, without Scatabo, I doubted them last week. I thought UCF was going to beat them, and they found a way to win. They were down 3 or 4 times in that game, and Leavitt just kept responding, and he keeps responding. He's got Jordan Tyson in the slot, who's a really good receiver, but Leavitt just keeps making throws when it matters, and you keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, and I think we're far enough into the season. Look, to 7-2. The other shoe's not going to drop. He's just a solid quarterback who's playing complementary football. He takes off and runs when he needs to. He's a good option threat when they need that, especially when Scatabo's in there and you have to worry about him. It's a problem, but man, oh man, over the last 2 weeks on third down, even 9 of 14 with an 89.7 passing grade. He's getting those big-time throws. There's a couple of them that weren't caught last week. I mean, he's matured into a solid quarterback for them, and I think the biggest spot where that's shown up is in obvious passing situations, in third and fourth down situations. It's the spot that I thought this team would struggle in the preseason, and they've handled it so well. We knew they could run the ball. That wasn't going to be a question. They play hard, they run the ball, but Sam Leavitt's really making a difference on this team, and he's a big reason they're 7-2.
Yeah, so Arizona State is performing a lot better in obvious passing situations, Dawn. I think the defense has to force Kansas State into obvious passing situations because we know
same old Kansas State.
The same old thing over and over again. We're talking about the same thing. The bread and butter of Kansas State's offense is its rushing attack. They average 6.2 yards per carry on the year. That's tied for 4th in the Power 4. DJ Giddens, their star running back, is 6th in the Power 4 with 690 rushing yards. Avery Johnson, their quarterback, is 8th among Power 4 quarterbacks with 460 yards on the ground. And Avery Johnson, obviously very dangerous on the ground. He's still figuring it out as a passer. He's only a true sophomore, obviously, so he's still has a long career ahead of him, but still figuring it out right now. He is 75th in passing grade among all quarterbacks in the nation this year at 70.7, and he has 11 turnover-worthy plays and 9 big-time throws. To be totally fair to Avery Johnson, though, the Kansas State weaponry is not that great right now. Right now, Kansas State has the 6th worst receiving grade in the Power 4 this year. I will say Arizona State's run D has been solid. They average 4.4 yards per carry allowed. That's 31st in the country. They have yet to allow a quarterback to run for 50 yards on them in any game this year. Only 4 running backs have had 100 yards on them this season. It is fair to say, though, they'll be tested more than ever before this week against Kansas State's backfield. If they can hold their ground and run defense and force Avery Johnson to 3rd and 6 or plus, honestly, they have a great chance of winning this game, honestly. But if not, and Kansas State can win on early downs, on first and second down with a run game, then I think Kansas State has the advantage in this game.
Arizona State's got a really fun defense. We've talked about it a couple of times this year. They're very physical. They're fast. They can throw a lot of different looks at you. And I think you mentioned a good thing about Kansas State's receivers. There's certain times it just looks like Jace Brown running go balls. And if they don't hit those, then I don't know what else there is, right? So I think, again, Kansas State, you mentioned it. They're going to want to be in the wheelhouse. They're going to want to run the ball, run the option stuff. Johnson, Giddens, Dylan Edwards, get into it, be the more physical football team, especially at home where they usually are. I think the one thing that concerns me with this Arizona State defense in this game, I think their back seven is really good. They're fast. They fly to the football. Their defensive line has really started to wear out on them lately, and I'm a little worried about it against some of these schemes. I think Kansas State's going to have some opportunities to get into the second level. Now, if they don't, and Arizona State's the more physical team, and I think the other thing, too, with the Sun Devils' defense is turnovers. They force a lot of turnovers, and they score defensive touchdowns off of them. It's been a real theme in a lot of their games this year, so I think it comes down to physicality. And I do think if Avery Johnson, we saw it in the Houston game, a couple of interceptions, if he turns the ball over, you turn the ball over against this Arizona State defense, you have a real problem because it's been a theme for them in almost all of their wins this year that they force turnovers.
Definitely. So, Dolan, ultimately, who kind of stays alive in the Big 12 title race and who dies in the Big 12 title race?
Wow, that's dramatic. I think Kansas State as the home team, I'm gonna lean in on them. I think they do have their foundation with the run game. They do have their gap schemes where they just wash everybody down up front and they get DJ Giddens going on the second level. I don't know that this will be a huge day for Johnson. Arizona State's defense is really fast and they get after the football. I think Giddens has to be the one, much like he did in the Colorado game, to win them this game, and he's got to get on the second level and run through some people. But I'm worried about Arizona State's defensive line. I'm a little worried about Cam Scadabo's health because I think right now he's officially questionable, and they're trying to get him to play, but this is a game where you really need him. I worried about them beating UCF without him, and they found a way to do it. I believe they scored 2 non-offensive touchdowns in that game, but you're not going to get Kansas State's too fundamentally sound, right? And you're not going to get some of the fluke touchdowns that can happen against teams that aren't as sound as K-State. I think K-State leans in on the run game. I think it works just enough. I have them 31-26.
Yeah, I got Kansas State as well, 27-24. And obviously, Scadabo last week, I think did you see the clip in the third quarter where he was begging Dillingham to put him in the game? And it was like, dude, you don't even have pads on right now. Like, why?
He would probably go out there without pads on.
He probably would have ran to the locker room and put his pads on. He's that kind of football player, honestly. But his status for Saturday is still questionable. So I like Arizona State's chances in this game if they have a healthy Cam Scadabo, but even if he plays, he's probably not fully healthy, and if he doesn't play, I really don't like Arizona State's chances
I think they have the mentality to beat a team like Kansas State because they want to match the physicality. They're about it. We've seen it with Kenny Dillingham's team for the last 2 years that they want to go out there and hit people. I'm with you. I just think if Scadabo's compromised or not playing, it's an issue. We know you have to have that guy to win primetime games like this. Now, if they do have him, I think it's going to be a fun football game anyway. But it is what it is. I think you have to wait out the injury, and otherwise, Arizona State, they're going to stick to the formula though. They're going to try to be the more physical team in this game. I just worry about them in the trenches.
Yeah, I got Kansas State winning this one as well, 27-24. I think with Cam Scadabo's health kind of being in question, they'll win this game and put the pressure on Colorado now in the Big 12 championship race. Hey, thanks for watching another episode of the PFF College Football Show. Please make sure you guys subscribe to the channel.
Also, subscribe to PFF Plus at subscribe.pff.com for all of the same data and grades that we use in our show, plus fantasy tools, betting tools, and our mock draft simulator.